with this presentation, I have made a slight change compared to the others previous presentations for figures of speech. The change is that all those which you have already discussed, those figures of speech that we have already practiced also, I have not included those here. I have only included the ones that are absolutely new for us. Okay, the new figures of speech that we have not discussed so far, those are the ones in the presentation. But you may be asked to still identify or pick out examples for things you already studied, like simile, metaphor, alliteration, personification, and so on. Okay, so this presentation only contains the new figures of speech. I'm going to keep the chat open in case you have any questions, and I will begin now. I hope my screen is clearly visible to everybody. Can you see the first slide? Okay, all right. This is a slide that will always be there in the figures of speech presentation, so that we remember why we study this, why we learn this. Figures of speech are tools that the writer uses to enhance or to make their writing better, to make their expression better. Okay. What are two things that we need to be able to do with figures of speech? One is to be able to identify a figure of speech and explain it in the poem. Second is to pick examples from the poem for a given figure of speech, right? In the first case, a line will be given to you and you have to say what is the figure of speech in that line and you have to explain that. And then in the second case, we will be given a figure of speech and we have to find the line in the poem which has that figure of speech and which uses that figure of speech, and we have to explain it there as well. Okay, moving on. The first figure of speech we are discussing with the poem Animals, which is new for us. We have not done this before. It's called tautology. Okay, you can say it to yourself without unmuting in your home. Tautology. Okay. A tautology is an expression or phrase that says the same thing twice, just in a different way. So if you find a sentence that has more than one word with the same meaning or similar meaning, there you can assume that there is tautology, because to convey the same thing, similar words are being used. This is generally done to stress on a particular thing. Okay, so when more than, sorry, one second. So when a phrase is used or a phrase explains more the same thing twice, there you will see tautology. Let's see an example so it becomes a little easier to understand. Okay, take a look at this line from the poem. They do not sweat and whine about their condition. Now, sweat and whine are definitely not the same word, but they are very similar in what they are trying to convey. Now, you explained to me that to sweat is to either work hard or to be in tension or to be worried about something, and to whine, you said, is to complain. Now, when the poet is using these together, when the poet is using these as sweat and whine, he is reiterating the same thing. He is reiterating the same negative quality of worrying. Okay, so both the words have a very similar meaning in this line, and therefore the words sweat and whine refer to similar actions of worrying and complaining. Hence, there is tautology with these words. Okay, so how can we all open our textbooks, look at the poem, and identify? If you can see the line on the screen, that's fine. If not, you can look in the textbook and tell me what is the tautology in this line. What are the words that have similar meanings in this line? You can use the chat to send the answer to me. The reason I asked you to keep the textbook open is because the word meanings are given on the side, so it will be helpful for you. You can even keep a dictionary nearby. Karthik, Prachi, Chand, you have given the correct answer. I will wait for at least 3 more people before I reveal the answers. I should close this. Where are the rest of you? Yes. Aarti, what I'm asking is for you to pick the tautology in this line. Tautology is when two or more words in a sentence have the same meaning or similar meanings. Fiza, can I hear from you? Who else is?
Yes, miss.
Tell me the answer better. See the question. Have you understood the question?
Yes.
Yes. So tell me what is the. You can send it to me in the chat. I just took your name because I wanted to call upon a few of you. So just send me the answer in the chat. Khadija, Aarti, your answers are correct. Okay. Let's see what the tautology is. In this case, demented and mania are the two words that have similar meanings, and therefore they signify the same thing or similar things. Now, if you look at the textbook, you will see the meanings also given for these two words. One is a craze and one is a madness, right? So demented and mania of owning things. The poet is trying to say the same thing with two or more words to emphasize what he is conveying. All right. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, please ask. I will look at the chat. I'm just going to quickly move on to the part where you will find an example from the poem of tautology. Please take a look at the poem. Open your textbooks. Open your textbooks to the poem Animals. Read the poem and find one example of tautology and very quickly put it in the chat. So, Dija, yes, your response is correct. That is what a tautology is. Are you able to find any examples in the poem? Aman, just check your answer once and see, because the meaning of respectable is given there on the side. When you see what it is, just see if both your words have similar meanings or are they opposite. Shraddha, same for you. But I'm happy to see you both answering. Please be active. This is good. Here, I have displayed the poem for you on the screen. You can use this. Karthik, your answer is not wrong, but there are more obvious ones than that. That answer is not wrong, but there are better examples in the poem. The reason I say that is because some are definitely more obvious than others. Okay, let's see what the examples are, and then let's try and understand why these are the examples. Okay, just give me a second. Sorry, I was having some issue. I had to stop sharing and share it again. Right. So they bring me tokens of myself is one of the examples of tautology from the poem. Can someone try and explain to me why is this considered tautology? What are two words here that are referencing the same thing, are referring to the same thing? What are two words? Yeah, Aman, well done. Me and myself. Prachi also well done, right? Me and myself refer to the same person here, and that is the poet. Okay. Now, although it doesn't have any grand meaning, here in this particular line, this is the example. Other than this, apart from this, the other tautology which is most obvious is demented and mania and sweat and wine, which I have used in the examples to show you what is tautology. So if you have to answer in the exam and if you have to write or pick a tautology in this poem, then you can pick from obviously from any of these three, right? Sweat and wine, demented mania are the more obvious ones. And then another one that is also there in the poem is me and myself. Okay. I'm going to, and these are the only three places in this poem where you see tautology coming out very obviously. Others can be, we can look at it closely and pick more examples. But as of now, these are the three main ones we will focus on. Okay, how will our sentence look when we are giving an explanation of tautology? This is how the sentence should look. The figure of speech is tautology. Line dash where you will put the line from where you have found the example, because both the words dash and dash, so the two words, suppose it is demented and mania, so you will say both the words demented and mania mean the same thing. So in the end it should look something like this. The figure of speech is tautology. In the line, they bring me tokens of myself, because both the word me and myself mean the same thing. They refer to the poet. All right. Please show a thumbs up if you were able to understand the examples, even if you were not able to pick the tautology on your own, because the one remaining for you to pick was slightly tough one. But if you understood the examples, show me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm seeing about 6 people showing thumbs up. The rest of you, if you have a question, if you have a doubt, put it in the chat. Or if you are inactive, then I am unable to help you at this point. Just a second. I'm going to go to the next one now. Now that so many of you have responded, I'm going to go to the next figure of speech, which is called antithesis. Take a minute, read this to yourself. I'm just going to close my window to reduce the noise in my room, and I will be back. Read this to yourself. All right. So antithesis is the next figure of speech that we're going to read. The use of contrasting or opposite meaning words to convey contrasting ideas. Something that contrasts is something that uses things on two ends which are not very same, which may be opposite or which may be very different from each other, but they overall make something better. When used together, they make the thing better. For example, it doesn't always have to be in poetry. Sometimes we may use colors in contrasting ways, right? Black and white. They always go together, right? They look good when they are together, but they are very on two different ends of the spectrum. Black is extremely dark and white is extremely light. So similarly in poetry, if we use two or more words that are very different from each other, but they make the line stand out, or they bring out the meaning of the line being conveyed in a better way, then a poet may choose to do that. Let's see an example of this. Yes, Aman, now your example is correct. So let's take a look. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. Here, as you can very clearly see, the words respectable and unhappy, they don't mean the same thing, right? They don't mean the same thing. They are in fact very different, opposite meaning words. Respectable here means too happy, as we had discussed earlier, and as you can see even in your textbook on the side, the meaning is given over here, right? So respectable means too happy, and unhappy of course is not happy. So when the poet uses two in the same line, they create a contrast. They create a very vivid image in the reader's mind that he is using two things that are well easy to differentiate, that he is not expecting that any animal is too happy or too unhappy over the whole earth. Makes it easier for the reader to understand what he's trying to say. Let's see. Here the words respectable means very happy, and the word unhappy is the exact opposite. This shows the reader a contrasting image. This is the only antithesis, I believe, in this poem. If you are able to find more, please send that in the chat right away. But I have, what you currently see on your screen is how do we structure our answer for this question, for antithesis, sorry. The figure of speech is antithesis in the line dash, because the words dash and dash, so whichever the two words are, you will put those there. The words dash and dash show contrasting ideas, right? So I've used the same example. If you find that there are more examples in this poem, you can find it and let me know. I was unable to find any, so I have not used any other example. So when you are asked to give an example for antithesis in this poem, you will give the example of respectable and unhappy. All right, let's just quickly go over the poem together and see if we are able to find any. If we look at multiple lines at a time, we will definitely find examples. But what we want to do is look at if there is antithesis in one particular line or a particular sentence in that idea itself. Okay, because otherwise, if we look at acid, which is calm, and we look at mania, we can definitely say there's antithesis there. But we're not looking at it that way. We will try and find it in close proximity to each other. So if you have understood the idea of antithesis, if you have understood the general idea of pairing opposites together, please show a thumbs up so that we can take a look at the next figure of speech. Okay, Prachi, Karthik, Khadija, and 6 others. Yes, all right. Shraddha says turn and live. Those two words, Shraddha, are not quite related to be able to say that they are even similar meaning or opposite meaning, right? So they are not quite related in any sense. But if you want to explain to me why you gave that, I'm very happy to understand your. Okay. Although we have done this many times, alliteration, please do not confuse it with repetition. 2 or more words beginning with the same letter or sound. Okay. Only the beginning letter or the beginning sound is the same. Let's look at an example. They do not make me sick, discussing their duty to God. You already gave me this example on Monday when we discussed the poem. Do you remember? Wonderful. So the words discussing and duty begin with the letter D. This adds rhythm and flow to this line. You give me the alliteration in this line. They evince them plainly in their possession. What is the alliteration in this line? You have to tell me. Okay, fine. You're identifying the letter correctly. So I can only assume that you know which words contain it. Well done. So plainly and possession both start with the letter P and the sound per, and therefore it adds rhythm and rhyme to rhythm and flow to this line. They evince them plainly in their possession, and that is correct. That is definitely a clear alliteration. Please find two more examples. Some of you have already given me given me examples. Khadija, I will encourage you to find more obvious answers. Yes, your answer is not wrong, as I was telling someone earlier. But when we want to cite examples from the poem, we will try and pick those which are most prominent, which stand out the most. And in that case, we will avoid pronouns, prepositions, things like that. Okay, so please try and find. Yes. Prachi, your answer is correct. Karthik, also correct. Aarti, your answer is correct. Prachi, correct. Ankit, that is really not correct. So check your answer, please. Both the words have to start with the same letter, Ankit. Aman, correct. Alfia, also correct. Let's see some of the examples I have written here. Neils and kind, although they are starting with different sounds, na and ka, it's still K. The letter K is definitely there. Now, wonder where, that's another. I wonder where they get these tokens from. That's another example. Yes, Chand, I can see your chat. You have said dissatisfied and demented. Yes, I know. So I have not put down all the examples here. Everybody, don't be worried. Your examples, if I'm telling you they are correct, then they most definitely are correct. I have not put all the examples here because there are a lot in this poem. Okay. The figure of speech is alliteration. This is how we will write it. In the line, I wonder where they get these tokens because the letter W is repeated at the beginning of the words wonder and where. Discussing their duty is also correct. Dissatisfied, demented is also correct. Turn and token are also correct. Make me also correct. Okay. Me, myself also correct. So, but these are some of the more obvious ones like discussing their duty and what was the plainly in their possession, those two. Okay. Are you ready to move ahead to the next figure of speech? All right. The next simplest one, which you are all very familiar with, and you will also be very familiar with where it is being used in this poem. Repetition. When one word is used multiple times in the same line or stanza, there you will see repetition. I'm extremely sorry. There are some mistakes in the presentation. I will correct these before I send it to you. Okay. It should not be when the one word. When one word is used multiple times in the same line or stanza, you see repetition. Let's take a look. I stand and look at them long and long. Prachi, yes, you are correct. Aarti, also correct. Well done. Right here, the word long has been repeated as it is, meaning the whole word is repeated, not just one letter or sound, which would mean alliteration. But in this case, the whole word is repeated, copy pasted, which is repetition. Okay. The entire word repeats, not just one letter or sound. This is done for emphasis to show that he stood there for a very long time. He has used the word twice. The figure of speech is repetition. In the line, I stand and look at them long and long because the word long has been repeated for emphasis. I have stopped with this one example because this is the most easy and this is the shortest example that we can use for this repetition in this poem. You can choose to write not one. If you take a look here at the poem, they do not, they do not, they do not. This is also repetition. Okay, not one, not one, not one. This is also repetition. However, long and long is used in the same line, and it's just easier for me to give this example. You can give they do not and not one as well, but it's good to be able to just remember this first one and give them this. Okay, there is nothing wrong with the other examples, but I would say at least have one that is ready. And another reason, another reason why I would use long and long is because all the others, like for example, right now Chand is giving me the example of they bring me tokens of myself, they evince them plainly in their sight. These are just words that are required to frame any sentence, right? Subject words, pronouns, okay? But long and long is used there for a very deliberate reason. It's not just a common word you will find in every sentence, but they is a pronoun you will find in a lot of places. So we want to pick the rare ones. Okay, we want to give those examples which are not very common. We want to give something that stands out. Am I making sense, Chand? Alfia, Shraddha, am I making sense? Because it's not wrong to give the examples which you are giving, but it's just better to give those which stand out to the examiner. Okay. Okay. Now let's move on to the next one. Metaphor. We have done this before, so it should not be very difficult. Try and pay close attention to the metaphors in the poem. Making a comparison between two things that aren't alike, but do have something in common. The two things are not same, but they have some things in common, some qualities in common. This is your first example. They bring me tokens of myself. Now here the trick is, or the catch is, that token stands for something else. Token stands for something else, and they have something in common with that, with what it stands for. But it's not mentioned in the poem. It is given in the word meanings. Okay. So please tell me what here, what is token a metaphor for? What does it stand for? Check your textbook and tell me. Thank you, Prachi. That was quick. Yes, Karthik, that's an even more condensed example. What is that? Innocence also is what? What is that? Take a look at the screen. Here, tokens refer to the virtues and good qualities that a person has. It refers to virtues and good qualities. Virtues are good qualities. Just put it there for your understanding. Here, that's what token refers to. Okay. The sentence will look something like this. The figure of speech is metaphor in the line, they bring me tokens of myself, because tokens is being compared to virtues, or tokens is being used in place of virtues to mean the same thing because of the qualities they share. Excuse me. As far as I see, this is the one example of metaphor. Please do take a look at the poem. Take a minute and see if you are finding any more examples of metaphor in the poem, where two things are being compared. Remember that in chapter 1.4, where the mind, all the world's a stage, we saw that the whole poem itself was a metaphor, right? The entire poem was saying that the world is a stage. So there was something in comparison, some two things being compared there, the world and stage, and both had similar qualities. Similarly, in this poem, throughout the poem, there is a comparison being made, an indirect comparison being made, right? So there is definitely a comparison between people, humans, and animals. Yeah. However, the one metaphor that connects the humans and animals in this case is just the tokens. That is the one metaphor that is keeping both of them connected, because otherwise the poet only sees differences between the two. The only common thread he sees between them is the virtues, which is the tokens. Okay. If you are ready to go ahead, if you have not seen any more examples, then I would like to move on. Show me a thumbs up if you are good to go. Okay. Wonderful. This figure of speech is a very interesting one. It's called hyperbole. Please show a thumbs up if you have done this before. Ali and Sadaf, you have raised a hand. Is it to say yes, or do you want to answer something? Okay. Can someone with a thumbs up please remind me whether we have done this in the last poem? Did we do this in All the World's a Stage, hyperbole? Okay, that means we have not discussed it. All right. So we will discuss it now. Hyperbole is exaggerated statements or claims that are not meant to be taken literally. Literally means they are not meant to be understood exactly the way they are written. Right? They are not meant to be taken in exactly the way they are said. Now, exaggerated statements means exaggeration is when you make something to seem more than what it is. You make it seem like a lot more than what it is. In simple ways, if you have to say, bada chadha ke bolna. Bada chadha ke bolna. So to exaggerate something or to make claims which are not meant literally. Let's see an example very quickly. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. Now, I'm not sure if I had discussed this with you, because right now I'm teaching the very same poem in my to my students in school also. So I can't remember if I told you or them. But it is not quite possible to be too happy or unhappy about the whole earth, right? Is it, can we know everything that is happening all over the earth and have some feelings about every single thing happening? Yes or no? No, right? So it is not meant to be taken literally that not one animal is too happy or unhappy about the events happening all over the earth. It's not a literal statement, but the whole earth is supposed to signify. Let's look at this here. The whole earth is supposed to show, it does not literally mean the whole earth, but over every small thing that occurs in their life, right? Every small thing that occurs in one's own life. But for that, the statement being used is the whole earth, to give a feeling of everything is included. Okay. So it's equal to, you know, somebody telling you, we make exaggerated statements all the time. This is the one from the poem. Therefore, if you have not heard this before, you may find it a little difficult. But hyperbole in general, we make these exaggerated statements all the time. For example, if I tell you, मैंने 1000 बार बोला है तुमको ऐसा मत करो. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I've told you 1000 times. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have literally told you 1000 times this has come out of my mouth, right? What it means is I've told you a lot of times, don't do this, right? So you're taking too long. We are going to reach the party next year. We are not actually going to reach the party next year. I'm just saying that you're taking very long to get ready. So we are going to be very late. So you understand, we use exaggerated statements very frequently in our lives, and I'm sure you do it too. So hyperbole is just those exaggerated statements. And in this particular poem, this is where we see it being used. The way we can structure our sentence is somewhat like this. The figure of speech is hyperbole in the line dash, because it is an exaggerated statement, right? You don't have to give many too much explanation here. All you have to say that it is an exaggerated statement, and therefore there is hyperbole. Okay. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth, because over the whole earth is an exaggerated phrase. Please show me a thumbs up if you have understood the last example. Wonderful. I'm happy to see your reactions. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I want to ask you very quickly to list down all the figures of speech we have discussed today through the presentation. Very quickly in the chat, list down all the, you can write it side by side, separated by commas, because if you press enter, I think it will just send one at a time. So each one of you, please separate your words with commas and tell me what are the figures of speech we have discussed in class today. I can give you a hint by telling you how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there are 6 in total. Well done, Aarti. All of your figures of speech are correct. Karthik, you are missing 2. Yes, Ankit, there are 6. So you have to tell me the names. I only told you that there are 6. Very good, Aman. Well done. Those are all correct. Chanda, good job. You're missing 1 though. All right, let's quickly repeat, okay? We did tautology, antithesis, alliteration, repetition, metaphor, and hyperbole. Tautology, antithesis. They go together, right? Because tautology is when you have same meaning words in a sentence where they're referring to the same thing. Antithesis is the opposite of that, where we're using opposite meaning words to bring out a contrast in the sentence. Okay, tautology and antithesis done. Then you have your alliteration and repetition, which has something to do with some sound or a word repeating. In an alliteration, a sound or a first letter repeats, and in repetition, the whole word repeats. Okay, 4 done. Then you have metaphor, where 2 things are being compared that are not alike but have some similar qualities. And lastly, we did hyperbole, which is exaggerated statements, which means statements that have been made to seem more than what they are, not meant to be taken literally. Okay, now these are 6 figures of speech, out of which 3 are very new for you: antithesis, tautology, and hyperbole. As usual, you will write down the definitions of these in your notebook first. And I'm just going to quickly show you something. Not something, I'm going to show you your worksheet itself, which we have been working on. Okay. You can see, I hope you can see the screen where I am displaying part 3 of the worksheet. Okay. So here, you will go through the document. The document refers to the document we saw today, which is the presentation. Okay. You will go through that document very thoroughly, and you will write down the definitions of antithesis, tautology, and hyperbole in your notebook. Why not the others? Because you have already written them. We have already discussed those in the past. So you've written those. Okay. Then you refer to the poem as well as PDF for the figures of speech to answer questions in the textbook. Now, if you take a look at your textbook, you will find that there are certain questions that are specifically for figures of speech. Question number 6, question number 7, and that's it. Question number 6 and question number 7. So kindly do those, complete those. Apart from that, Apart from that, there is another question I have given you. Create a sentence of your own using any one of these figures of speech and explain it using the template given here. Now, pick any figure of speech from what you have learned today, something new that you have learned today, and make your own statement. I would prefer actually if you did it with hyperbole because it's a lot more fun than the rest. You can even use antithesis or tautology. That's your choice. But use the template, meaning use the sentence structure which has been given in this today's presentation. Okay. I'm going to move on to part 4 of your worksheet. At this point, do you have any questions? I'm going to wait on the chat for another 10 seconds. If you have questions, I will answer them now. Otherwise, I'll go on to explain part 4. Okay. You can always ask your questions at a later time. I will still answer them. But right now, I'm going to go ahead. Okay. All right. So in part 4, as usual, we have finished now the technical parts of the poem as well as the understanding comprehension portion. So now we come to the writing bit. Okay. Here, what do? We go through the poem appreciation points. These are the poem appreciation points. As we can see, there are 5 points that need to be part of any poem appreciation. Name of the poem, name of the poet. Is there a rhyme scheme? Tell me, in this poem, is there a rhyme scheme? Absolutely not. Correct, all of you who have answered. So how has this poem been written? If you have a doubt, check the note on the author. You will find the answer there. Ankit, you've raised your hand. Please answer.
There are no rhyming scheme in this poem.
And therefore, it is written in free verse. Correct. As Chand, Aarti, Prachi and Khadija and all of you have mentioned here, yes, it is written in free verse. Karthik, thank you. Okay, so then you come to figures of speech. We just discussed so many of them. So pick any one along with the template. It becomes very easy then for you to frame the sentence. And lastly, you come to the central theme or idea. If you are struggling with the central theme or idea of this poem, all of you, please pay attention to what I'm sharing here. Go to this note on the author. The main idea of this poem has been mentioned in the last 2 lines here, right? If there is more, of course, you will elaborate.
आपकी screen नहीं दिख रही है.
Oh, you're not able to see my screen. I will share it again. You should be able to see it. Can you see it now, everybody? Show a thumbs
Yes.
up. Okay, great. So in the last 2 lines on the note on the author, you will see this information. Of course, you use this information and add your own idea of what is this poem talking to us about. The poet tells us that he feels more at home with animals than humans, what he finds complicated and false. This is just one line to give us a starting point, right? Other than this, we will also mention that the poet is making a comparison between humans and animals indirectly. The poet is speaking about all the virtues which he once had, but has lost through the process of evolution. But these animals have retained those virtues and he now admires them. Yes, Ankit, don't worry. You don't have to write the words which I'm saying. So if you just listen to me for now, it's fine. Okay, I will still slow down nonetheless. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, so the first thing is to go through the points. Okay, so we went through the points. These are the points. Then form all your 5 points first. Take help from the poem as well as the previous resources. First, you will read the poem. You will also watch the video that was attached with the previous document, and you will frame your points for all of these 5. Then lastly, you will put your points into the template which is given, and you will give it a title. Where is the template? Right here. Okay, this is the same template I have used with you every time. You are free to go out of this template. Please feel free to write it on your own. Okay, this is just for those of you who find it difficult to start or difficult to frame your lines. You don't have, it is not compulsory to use this. You will not lose marks if you don't use this, but it's just there to help you. It's just there to guide you if you need it. Okay, please show a thumbs up so that I know you understand what I'm saying. All right. You are free to write as creatively as you want. In fact, I will encourage you to write as creatively as you can so that I can give you your feedback accordingly and you can improve on it. I have been very far behind in doing that, for which I sincerely apologize, but you will get it soon enough. Are there any questions with what needs to be done? Part 1 and 2 are complete. Today you will do part 3 and 4 of your figures of speech and poem appreciation. Right now the time is only 3:51 actually, which gives us a lot of time to do this. We can either, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Okay, we have, I can stay here and address any doubts that you have, because anyway our time together is till 5 o'clock. So we should try and complete these two parts, part 3 and part 4, definitely before 5 o'clock. So if you are having any doubts and questions, I will stay on the call at least for the next 15-20 minutes. If I find that no one has any doubts, then you are free to, I guess, Siddharth sir,